Good evening and welcome to Thursdays with NAMI. My name is Peg Morrison. I'll be your host tonight. I am the Assistant Director of NAMI North Carolina. That's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, North Carolina. I'm glad y'all are here. Thursdays with NAMI is our way of building conversations and building community on the topic of mental health. Tonight's guest is Nancy Johns. She was a medic in the Army for 6 years. Afterwards, she worked as a paramedic and firefighter for 15 years. Her life was normal, quote unquote, although unfortunately she had no family to speak of. Then all at once, everything changed, and we know life can do that to us. She was on the job in an ambulance when there was a crash, leaving Nancy with a traumatic brain injury. After 3 weeks in a coma, she woke up hearing voices, seeing things that were not there. She'd never had experiences like that before. The doctors diagnosed her with psychosis and transferred her to long-term psychiatric care, inpatient long-term care. This is a story of what can happen when there's nobody there to advocate for an individual who needs help. We'll be talking with our courageous guest, Nancy Johns, in just a moment. As usual, the first part of our show will be an interview with our guest. Partway through, we'll show a video of the week, and then we'll take questions from you, members of our virtual studio audience on Zoom and Facebook. First, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Thursdays with NAMI is funded in part by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services through the Community Mental Health Block Grant Fund. We appreciate their support so very much. Now, with no further ado, welcome Nancy, and thank you so much again for your courage of sharing a difficult story, but one that can really alert other people to what happens in the world sometimes and help other people know that recovery is possible.
Well, thank you, Peg, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank NAMI for allowing me to be here to share my story. And I do want to say that it hasn't been it hasn't been always that I've been able to share my story. It's just been recently that I've been able to tell my story. So I want to thank you for allowing me to do this. I just want to say that I'm 60 years old. I'm single, not that I'm looking, but I have 29 years lived experience with mental illness. I live independently, and like you said, I have no living biological family support. I've lived on my own as an adult without living biological family support. And I've never been a person to listen to people who said that it can't be done, or been a person to just settle. I've always been a person to question. And I continue to survive, strive, and thrive for a better quality of life. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right, and of course you're trained in our speaker presentation program in our own voice.
Mhm.
So I know you've got that under your belt, and you're a certified peer support
Peer support
specialist.
specialist, yes.
Yeah, so you've
For
got
North
some
Carolina.
chops.
Yeah, but like I said, this is all, even though I have 29 years lived experience, it's only become all to fruition within the last couple of years. So, it's taken some work to get there.
Of course, recovery is hard work. It's a long-term goal for all of us. So you kind of told us about your background and yourself in a nutshell. So maybe now tell us about the early part of your life. You had a lot of years where mental health was not an issue for you.
Well, growing up, I graduated high school in 3 years. And then I went to a military college, and I got my bachelor's in criminal justice in 3 years. And I got a commission as an officer in the United States Army. And I served proudly as an officer, as a medic. And for 6 years, and upon discharge, I became a paramedic firefighter. I was a paramedic for 15 years. And then one day, everything changed. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for your service. And yeah, it just hit me as you were speaking just now, how much you gave to our country as a frontline responder and as an Army medic.
That was, that has always been my passion. I was raised in a military family. It's, I was raised that we help others. That's, that has always been, I guess, my calling. That's how I was raised. That we're here to help others. To come together and to help others.
Yeah. And now you found your way back to that in your recovery. What a beautiful
Exactly.
thing. So I gave kind of a quick overview, maybe more of a deep dive. How did you sustain your traumatic brain injury? Tell us about that.
One day, we were on an emergency call. We had a non-responsive patient in the ambulance. I was doing CPR. We were on the New Jersey Turnpike, heading to the hospital. And while we were going lights and siren in the fast lane on the New Jersey Turnpike, and a vehicle decided to cut us off, cut our lane from out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. My driver had to slam on the brakes. I was in the back doing CPR, and in the ambulances that this is 29 years ago. The ambulances are built a whole lot differently than they are built today. We were not belted. There's no way to be strapped in doing CPR. Everything's chaotic. You're trying to save a life. When he slammed on the brakes, I went free flying all over the ambulance. I hit my head on the front of the ambulance, on the back of the ambulance, and then I landed on the floor of the ambulance where I hit the back of my head. I was in a coma for 3 weeks.
Wow.
And it was a traumatic brain injury. And that's, I woke up. When I woke up, I was in a different state. I wasn't even in New Jersey anymore. I didn't know where I was.
My goodness. That's just incredible to think about, to try to wrap your head around going through something like that. My goodness. And when you did wake up from that coma, what was your brain telling you?
Like I said, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what happened to me. All I remember is that I was on the job. Last thing I remember. And I'm waking up, and I see all these white coats around, and I see all, I see, I hear whistles and bells going off and everything. And I'm hearing things in my head, and I'm hearing voices in my head. And I don't know if you can imagine it, but it feels like there was like 2 voices on each side of my head, and feels like maybe like a ping pong table going this, this, in and out, and it was just constant noise that I couldn't shut off. Constant yelling back and forth that I couldn't shut off. It was like jibber jabbering back and forth, and I couldn't shut off. And it was like negativity and telling me to harm myself, and telling me that not to trust anybody that was there, or And then I was seeing things crawling on the walls and in the ceilings, and like I said, I didn't know anybody was there, and I was scared to death. I didn't know what was going, and I'm trying to tell them what was going on, and they didn't. This was 29 years ago, and they didn't know what I was talking about. They had no idea what I was talking about. And instead of treating me for a brain injury, they just said, that I have just totally lost my mind, and there's just no hope for me. That I am just completely out of it.
Did they literally
And
say that?
yes, and because
Wow.
I'm around 33 years old. I'm at the top of my game. I'm not worried about, I'm not thinking about being sick. I'm not thinking about death. I'm not thinking about, writing up my advanced directives or having a power of attorney, or having a healthcare power of attorney. I'm not thinking about any of that. I'm at the top of my game, so I don't, I'm not thinking about any of that. So I had no healthcare power of attorney. I had nobody to take control of my life. So the state took control of my life. I was committed. I was deemed incompetent. So they said I needed to be in a state psychiatric facility, and I had nobody to say otherwise. The doctor made their decision. I had nobody to fight otherwise.
It seems like a really good time to mention a psychiatric advance directive, which you just alluded to. That is a document that NAMI North Carolina can help you produce for yourself, so that if something happens, you have stated your preferences and your needs in writing with a witness, and it's filed with the Secretary of State. So if you'd like information on that, please contact us. We can help you with that document. We can sit with you and walk you through it. You also mentioned healthcare power of attorney, and we can help you find resources for that. We don't focus on that so much at NAMI North Carolina, but we can point you in the right direction through our helpline.
It is very important to think about that, because nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about how vulnerable we are, but we never know. You can walk out your door and something could happen, and you have to be prepared, because you don't want to end up with nobody speaking for you.
I did see some comments in the chat thanking you for your service and thanking you for being here, for being you. Another question, did they do any testing?
As to the brain injury? No.
Yes.
No.
Wow. My goodness. That's just amazing. So how did you wind up then in a state hospital?
They completely, if it would have happened today and I was put in if I was given oxygen therapy, the outcome may have been different. But back then it was not a big treatment that back then. And so, it was immediately deemed mental illness. And so since the state took over my care, they just decided, that I was going to go into a state psychiatric facility, and, North Carolina was the one that won the prize. My job was paying for it. So, as long as my job paid for it, the doctor said I needed it. The cash rolled in. As long as the cash was rolling in, I needed to stay there. I needed to stay there.
Yeah, well, I will share my personal opinion, not speaking for NAMI, that I really wish the profit motive would be completely divorced from healthcare. I just think it would be so much cleaner and have better outcomes. Comment again from the chat box. This person also did not have testing and was just put on meds. So I don't know how often that was, but my goodness. Thank you everyone for sharing your comments and thoughts in the chat box. So you were in the state hospital in North Carolina. What happened there?
Well, it was what it was. It was a warehouse. I was given every drug that came to market, experimental drug, no matter what the side effects were, I had to take it. Sometimes the side effects of the drug was worse than what I was dealing with. But I was forced to take it. I could not say no. I had no choice in the matter. The state was my guardian. I was told that I had to do it.
What happened, may I ask, if you said no?
I was forced. I would get a shot. If I didn't take it by pill, I was given a shot. And if I refused to take it at that, in the earlier set, I was put in restraints. That's just the way it was. Uh, I was, as far as the medical side of it, I was never encouraged. I was spoken negatively to. I was told I would never get out of the hospital. I would never amount to anything. I was, I would, just completely spoken down to. I was sexually assaulted 3 times while in the hospital. Um, you know, it was just totally traumatic and demoralizing. That being said, my time there wasn't altogether that bad. The technicians there are the ones that held it together. They, you know, they were the ones that kept us going. They made sure that our minds were not idle. They kept us busy and trying to keep us doing whatever. We did not get treatment, but they kept us doing things. They cared for us. They treated us with dignity. Um, and to tell you the truth, I would go back there in a heartbeat before I would go to any inpatient around here. I would go back there in a heartbeat.
I don't know where to start. I'm so very sorry for what you went through. I've had traumatic experiences myself, but not in that context, not with that quite that degree of powerlessness overall. And comments in the chat, my heart breaks for you, and I'm so sorry expressing for what you went through, and you proved them wrong about not being able to stand on your own. So that's a wonderful triumph. And I'm so glad that there were some kind faces. The techs saw you as a person.
Yeah. I mean, some of the technicians I still keep up with. I still, they still ask how I'm doing, and I still keep up with them. So,
That's beautiful. Let's see. So next question. You were released after 17 years when the facility closed, but you hadn't at that time lived independently for all those years. How did you learn to take care of yourself again? And how did you find the strength and resilience to rebuild after everything?
It was tough. When I got out, the only reason why, I feel that I was discharged is because the state closed them down. In 2010, when the state closed them down, I was miraculously cured. I was given a key to an apartment, and they say, "Here you go, good luck," and that was it. But I was given no medication, no doctor, no support. I had no job, no family, no no support, no self-confidence. I was diagnosed with I think every mental illness in the DSM. I had schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality, PTSD, all of the above. I was given no follow-up. That was supposed to be on my own. I'd been taken care of for 17 years. Where was I going to go? I didn't know Raleigh. I knew, I'd never been here before. I didn't drive. I didn't have any, I didn't have my social security card, ID card, medical card. I had none of that. I didn't know where to go. I had a place to live, but I had nothing. And when I got out, I was so traumatized and so broken. I was scared of my own shadow. I was scared. I was scared of people. And so traumatized by the mental health system. Why would I go to the mental health system to ask for help?
Sure.
Um, so it was tough. It was tough. I didn't want to. I was scared. I didn't want to come out of my apartment. I felt, I was let out in a community that didn't accept me. They didn't want to have anything to do with me. When it was, when all the hospitals were closing, it was a good idea. They went, in 2010, everything was said, let's go to the community, give them, have community treatment instead of hospital. Well, that's a great idea, but the communities weren't ready for us. You can't just open the doors and say, okay, go out there. The community wasn't ready for us. We weren't accepted. It's like throwing us to the wolves. So, it just, it was hard. It really was hard. And I felt like I was no bigger than an ant, and even less noticeable. Even less noticeable. It was really rough. I felt lost and alone. And even at one point, I tried to take my life.
I can only imagine, with all that you'd been through, I would be broken down, horribly broken down after all that. And then to be tossed into an apartment with no life skills and no support, nothing to plant a seed of hope or structure or skill building. My goodness, that's just incredibly tough. But somehow you crawled out of that. And so many people ended up homeless or incarcerated. So many folks with mental illness after the hospitals closed, because you're right, community services were nowhere near ready for the influx of people. And then especially to give the higher level of support that people needed to make that transition.
Well, all I could say, I said, thank goodness that I had the backing that I had, with the perseverance that, I guess I could say that I was born with, or God given, and the drive that I had, that pushed me through, that I wasn't going to settle. Nobody was going to tell me that I couldn't do it. I wear this. It says they whispered to her, "You cannot weather the storm." She whispered back, "I am the storm." So
I love that.
So what happened? I found some. I don't know how I found out, but I found out there was a support group through NAMI. I found out about it, and I believe Jerry Ackland was facilitating it. And I went there. I was scared. I was scared. I believe I went in there. Now, you can see that I'm a big person. I went in there, and I can tell you truthfully, I had a teddy bear in my hand. Now you got this ex-veteran, paramedic firefighter, this big person going in there with a teddy bear in her hand. Okay. I went in there and I sat down, and I didn't say much, but I was welcomed with open arms. I was not judged. And I just remember that, I was able to begin to feel, able to begin to let myself be vulnerable and trust people. And I was given resources. And I was told about a primary care group that you had to have a mental illness in order to go there. So I hooked up with them. And from there, they hooked me up with a behavioral clinic that was affiliated with them. And they have become my lifeline. And I've been hooked up with them ever since. So, the powers to be. I think the big turning point for me was when I was finally able to accept my mental illness, and stop blaming others for what had happened to me. I was angry. I was angry at everybody. I was angry at the system. I was angry, what happened, that's not how I wanted my life to be. I was angry, angry, angry. And I let everybody know it. I let everybody know it. But, once I finally accepted my mental illness for what it was, I was able to move on. I didn't like it, but I accepted it. I couldn't change the illness, but I can change the way it intrudes upon my life. And even though my illness may not be curable, it's treatable. And I do have control do have some control on that. I have control. And that even though I have a diagnosis, life is still worth living. Even though I had painful days, days are, sometimes are still painful, but there are still sunshiny days. I still can smile. And, I say that, medication for me, for my mental illness, is not just something I take. It's the things that I do. I became a self-advocate. I became totally informed about my illness. I do individual therapy every week. I do light therapy every day. I attend support groups. I had to change my eating habits to a healthier lifestyle. I do an exercise every day. I had to develop a sleep routine, which is very important. Um, I attend many different mental health classes, and believe, having online capabilities. There's just so much out there that you can and with webinars and everything, it's just so much out there. I volunteer for NAMI. I became a North Carolina peer support specialist. And now I co-facilitate a suicide attempt survivor support group. So, and then above all, I've learned to take me time and self-care, which is, the number one total important thing to do on a daily basis. And then, I fully participate in life. And I do what needs to be done to get that better quality of life.
Wow. Well, bravo. You've come such a long way, and it's not easy to share those stories of being a survivor in all these different ways. So,
and I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I work at it every day. I work at it every day. I have, you have to put work into it if you want something out of it. There's no magic pill. In the early days, I kept on going to the doctor and say, you got to fix me. Give me something to, you got to, take care of this, but that's not how it is. There's no magic pill. You got to put the work into it, yeah.
right.
You got to put the work into it.
I want to share this adorable quote from Lisa in the chat about your attending a support group with a teddy bear. God was training you to be a real live teddy bear for those who also suffer. I just love that. Thank you for that comment. You've been through so much. You're an amazing advocate, from Becky. Amazing work that you're giving back, from Gail. And John Klein. Hello, my fellow paramedic. John was a paramedic He worked the New Jersey Turnpike decades ago, and it can be a very spooky place and always dangerous. So way to go. Anyways, lots of wonderful comments. I can send you the chat later if you'd like. And so you mentioned your support group for suicide attempt survivors, and I think there's such a great need. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the Hope Group and how you found them.
Sure. Well, after my attempt, I looked for services in North Carolina because that, suicidal ideations is part of my illness, and I wanted to understand why I had those ideations. I did not want to die, but suicidal ideations are part of my illness. I live with that every day, and I kept, you know, I once, but I'm allowed to talk about it, my emotions about it, concerning that. I said, why do I have to go here if I'm not allowed to talk about it? You're not helping me. No, in North Carolina, we're not allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to say the S word. Whenever I've been whenever I've voluntarily hospitalized, asked for help, I've been treated like a criminal. I'm voluntarily asking for help.
Right.
I'm asking. I went up to a nurse one time and I said, please, I'm asking for help. I said, what have I done wrong? I haven't committed a crime. And her statement to me was, no, you just want to kill yourself. That was her statement at a mental health facility, inpatient, So I was like, and that's how it's been in North Carolina. I've looked all over. There was no support group. Okay. So I had to go out, I've looked, so I found a group in Colorado. It's called the Hope Group. It's online. And there's in North Carolina, there's plenty of support group for bereavement, for people who have lost family members or close people to suicide, but not for people who have survived an attempt or have suicidal ideations. And so I went, so I've been attending this group for a long time out of Colorado, and they asked me to become a facilitator, which I did. And I'm a part of that, and I attend it every week, and that is my new family. And I call on them often. They've been a big support for me. And it's not like we meet every week and talk about that. We're a support group. We support each other. We're allowed to say what we're feeling without feeling that a retribution, or feeling that a police officer is going to come knock it down our door, or that we're going to be IVC'd. We're allowed to express the way we feel. We have to live with that. We have to know, we have to be able to live our life and cope with life with these feelings.
Right. So okay. I was struggling when you said you weren't allowed to talk about it in partial hospitalization. You weren't allowed to talk about suicide and suicide.
We weren't allowed to suicidal ideations, our feelings, why, and get to the root cause of it, why we were feeling this way. Why, okay. They didn't want to go into suicide or why anything about suicide or suicidal ideations, or why we were struggling, or why, I wasn't even allowed to talk to the therapist behind closed doors about it. She didn't even want to go into it.
That I really don't understand. I've heard the theory about triggering other patients in a group.
I wasn't even allowed to talk. My therapist wouldn't even allow, she didn't want to talk about it. I said, why? And I kept saying, why am I here? Why am I here?
I'll
you know.
tell you, sometimes peer support is an amazing, uplifting experience when nothing else, no other door seems to open. Talking to people who have been there, and I had this experience before I found a therapist who just works so well with me. But yeah, peer support, it's powerful, and I'm so glad you found that, and it helped guide you back to a place where you're standing strong and making a difference now.
Yeah, I
So
mean, everybody talks about prevention. We just want to be heard. We just want people to listen to us. You know, we just want people to listen and understand what we're going. We go through the same thing everybody else is going through. It doesn't mean that we're thinking about doing it all the time. We have struggles too. We just want to understand it.
that's right. Everyone deserves to be heard. Everyone
Yeah.
deserves validation. Thank you for that comment in the chat. Uh, from Karen and Nate saying you're an inspiration. Lots of good comments in the chat. Thank you, everyone. What gives you hope?
Well, first off, I think just seeing that more people are opening up now, and are willing, around the world, and are willing to talk about their struggles, and that is becoming more acceptable to talk about it, and they're not more people are not as afraid to talk about it. We got a long way to go, but I think we're making strides to that, making great strides. And so that does, I'm seeing changes. But on a personal note, just I realized that the only way that I was able to express my truth was through anger. But today I'm able to speak my truth, by opening up, and by speaking my truth, I'm able to open the doors for others to speak their truth. And by everybody speaking their truth, the truth will set you free. And with that, we all can survive, strive, and thrive. And just with that, life is worth living.
What a wonderful statement. And that resonates so much with me, that having some validation, having space to be who you are and say what you need to say, and have space in the national narrative, the national conversation is so important. So thank you for giving other people permission to have that need and to make those statements, because it's very powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we're going to wrap up the interview portion of the show. Did you want to add anything before we pivot, Nancy?
All I can say is just that I just want everybody just to realize that, there is no silver bullet out there, but it is a good quality of life is obtainable. Having a mental illness is not a death sentence. Don't let anybody tell you that it is. Try not to be discouraged. Fight for it. Don't settle. Don't settle. Don't let anybody tell you that it can't be done. Fight for it. Fight for it.
Amen. Amen. And if stigma causes you to lose some quote unquote friends, you'll find friends who get you and who are stronger and more
and are worth
open-minded.
keeping. That's it. Who are worth having.
All right. Awesome summary. We're going to wrap up the interview portion of the show. As I mentioned, before we do so, I want to give a big shout out to our heroes working behind the scene. We've got Paulina Mendez on chat, psychiatric psychiatric nurse Gail Pruitt on Facebook, and of course, thanks to Executive Director Gary Kreitz for always being there. Of course, our deepest thanks to Nancy Johns for spending your evening with us. And now we've got our video of the week. We usually try to take a light moment here when we can, because we do tend to cover some heavy themes here. This video features Juniper the Coonhound, and she's our office mascot here at NAMI, North Carolina. Something fun and different. All right. And thanks to Juniper for starring in our wonderful video. Dog is God spelled backward. All right, thanks everyone for your comments. Now, Q&A, it's time to take your questions. We've got 13 of them lined up, so we're gonna keep you busy, Nancy, for as long as
No
we
problem. Only if I can have some of her Starbucks.
Puppuccino, that's her favorite treat. First question, to what do you attribute getting healthier? Therapy, music, church?
All of the above. All of the above. But you have to find what works for you. I have a toolbox, and depending on what's going on, I take out from that toolbox what might help for that particular thing. I just, you have to find out what works for you, for that thing. That's why I go around to different support groups, and I listen to what different people say has helped them. And I'm saying, I might try that. That might help me. I try it. If it doesn't work, I don't put it in my toolbox. I have a problem with SAD, that we've went over, the seasonal affective disorder. So I've just obtained a light therapy that I use every day for the wintertime, that has helped me. So, I do therapy every week. I take my medication. Music, music is a big part of mine. Music is mainly the main thing. Music is a big thing for me. But faith, maybe not particularly religion, but spirituality is a big thing for me. Just for me, listening to the rolling in of water, the beach, the rolling, just the sound of the water and the relaxation of water. It depends on what problem I'm going through at the time. I have a list of things that I do. I had to introspect that I have, I know what things that happened to me, and I have a list of things that helped me during that time. I have it all written down. It's like my wellness plan, and I go back there and I say, okay, this is going on. What has helped me in the past? And I go to it. That's been I have that plan. It's part of my crisis plan. Because when we're in crisis, we don't have time to think about that. We have to have it available to us beforehand. That's something that I've worked out with my therapist. Yeah, and that's just what I do.
That makes so much sense. And you always hear, whether it's a psychiatric advanced directives or RAP, wellness recovery, action
Action plan. That's a big part of That's a big part of. I've taken the training. I'm planning on taking the facility. I've been a facilitator, but I've let my certification lapse. But I plan on taking it again. It's a big part of my recovery.
Right. So a lot of good tools there. Thank you for sharing them. Next question. When were you discharged, or when you were discharged, did they put you in North Carolina or New Jersey, and how did they pay your rent?
I was in North Carolina. I got an apartment in Raleigh. I was on Social Security disability. Yeah.
Did they place people from the hospital in clusters together or just scattered housing?
I had a social worker in that was assigned to me in the hospital 2 months before my discharge. We went to different places to put applications in, and I had my apartment already lined up. That's the only thing that I did get from the hospital was my apartment.
Okay, okay. And this is from Jerry Ackland. Nancy, I'm so sorry you had such a bad experience. My impression from the outside was that Dix was much better during the later years before it closed. Was that your experience?
Yes, yes, yes. There, during in the earlier years, there were no, you say, no rain on them, I guess. No policing, I guess you could say. Pretty much they did what they wanted. During the later years, there was more control. I guess, had the building not been in the shape that it was in, and maybe it would have been economical to refurbish instead of closing it down. Because in the end, it would.
Mm. Yeah, well, it was part of that big trend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next question is, looking back, what do you feel would have been helpful from a mental health or a brain injury perspective, or both? You mentioned
Well,
the oxygen therapy.
yeah, like I said, from my research, I think the oxygen tank, had I been put in there immediately, I think that would have been a big help. Had I been put in the oxygen tank for a treated with as a brain injury instead of a mental illness, because the brain is an organ just like our heart is, just like our liver is, just like our kidneys are. When it gets damaged, we have to treat it as an injury. um, and I was not treated as with an injury. Just there just isn't enough research in that area, especially during that time. There is more now, but it's still not enough. When you hear about a cardiologist or an orthopedic doctor, they get looked upon greatly, but when somebody says you're a psychiatrist, they get frowned upon. They don't get looked upon like the great cardiologists or the great orthopedics. you know they don't get this, they don't have the same reputation. um it's just the fact. It's just the fact. It's just the fact. And they don't get the funding, and they don't get the research.
Right.
It's the fact. And
It
it shouldn't be that way, because it all works together. You can't have the one without the other. What goes on up here has to do with the whole health. We can't have one without the other, and we need research for everything. You can't have physical health without mental health. It all works together.
That's absolutely right. All righty. And did faith, next question, did faith play a part in helping you get stronger? What did help? What would you suggest for someone newly diagnosed and recently hospitalized for schizophrenia? A lot of questions in there, actually.
Do your research. Do your research. I have been on a lot of medications for schizophrenia. It was trial and error. I had to find the one that was right for me. I am allergic to a lot of the medications that were given to me. I have been in kidney failure twice because of a medication, two different medications. You know, listen to your body. Just because your doctor says this is a good medication, it may be good for some people, but it may not be good for you. So know your body. Know, look at your body. Know your signs. You know, I had to find the right medication. Some of the side effects were worse than having the schizophrenia. I would rather have the schizophrenia than some of the side effects. So I had, there are numerous medications out there. You just, you don't have to settle for the side effects. I have found one that it doesn't relieve all the symptoms, but it doesn't have the side effects either. I'm able to get through the day. It's tolerable. I'm able to live with it. So do your research. Don't settle. That's all I can say. Don't settle.
All right. That's always good advice. Comments from someone who's been asking questions. I'm with the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina. My heart is breaking. This is from Karen Keating. I have a son with a TBI, so I am passionate because of personal situation. Thank you for sharing that. And question from Jerry: what is light therapy?
It's this little this is a little box. It's not big. Hopefully you can see it on the camera. I do it 20 minutes a day. It's just it's only this big. It's a certain kind of light. It's supposed to, it imitates the sunlight. It's for people who like because I have depression. I'm bipolar, but I in the wintertime I have more on the depressive side because of the lack of sun. And so if I do this 20 minutes a day, it gives me the added, I guess, vitamin D, and it's a special, it's not just the light bulbs. It's a special light. It's 10,000 lux. It's a special light. You don't have to, have it right up there. You can like put it at, right, like 2 feet from you, and then go about your business. You don't have to look right directly at it. Just 20 minutes a day. This thing cost me $50, no big deal. But you can't, you got to know what you're getting. You can't get a fly by night one. But and talk to your, it is a form of therapy. I suggest you talking to your doctor about it. Don't just get it on your own. It is a form of therapy. Just like, if you buy supplements, you want to talk to your therapist about it. You want to talk to your doctor about it. Please don't just do it on your own. It is a form of therapy.
Yeah, everyone says that's very helpful because seasonal affect disorder is the body's reaction, the mind's reaction to getting fewer and fewer hours of daylight during the winter months. So great recommendation there. What are some things that you recommend for self-care that you haven't mentioned so far?
Just whatever you do that calms you, that relaxes you, that you enjoy. It's simple things for me. I get it. Like I said, music is a big thing for me. I listen to all genres, depending on what emotion that I'm in. If I have anxiety, I listen, something that will calm me. So music is a big thing for me. I do adult coloring, because I can stay present, in that. I just focus on what I'm coloring. So I block out everything that's going on. I just take 15 minutes and say, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to do this for 15 minutes. I'm not going to think about anything. And most importantly, turn the phone off for 15 minutes. stop, so you don't hear that constant ding, 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 turn the television, turn the noise off. So, unfortunately, I got the noise in my head all the time. So, and that's something I can't turn off. So I got to turn off the outside sources. I can't, I can't have that on all the time. Noise affects me quite a bit. I'm very stimulated with the noise. Loud noise affects me quite a bit. I have to, I have to live in a quiet environment. Noise affects me. Because I'm constantly stimulated. So, I have to be in a, so, yeah. But anything, just try, you have to on a daily basis, do something that you enjoy, not something that everybody else enjoys, something that resonates with you. I have a patio that overlooks trees. On nice days, I just go out and sit on my patio. There's squirrels running around. I just go appreciate nature. Just sit there, with my headphones on, listening to music and appreciate nature. Just take time out, from everything. Just clear your mind. Just, yeah.
Next question. When it was time to live independently after so many years in an institution, what was one or two life skills that were hardest to remember or master, and how did you get them back?
Well, it was thrown on me to me. So, I had to do it, it was not, it was not like, tiptoeing into it, it was, I had to go into it. I, I had to develop it, but it was lonely. It was lonely. Um, we're human beings, and we live on, on the support of each other. And I feel that, even though we like to say we like to do, we like to do things on our own, we still need support of others. And it's hard to be alone. And that's the hard part. I was with, I was on a women's floor, and there was about, I guess, 30 women there. We were together for, the same women. We really lived together. So, not knowing what happened to them, we were all family. So not knowing what happened to them, that was tough. Um, that was tough. That was like, it was like losing a family. So, it was like pretty much like grieving a loss.
So that was another trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Wow. Was NAMI or was something else the biggest step to move into social being again and less into isolation?
Well, like I said, I started going to NAMI, and then I became a part of a peer support group, a peer support. Hang on. It was called Fellowship, Health Resources. I'm no longer part of that, but they met every day, and it was pretty much like a clubhouse, and it was probably about 30 people there. We met every day. We had coffee in the morning, and then we had classes, a couple of classes during the day, on mental health and how to be independent and stuff like that. Sometimes they took us places, like we went fishing sometime, and stuff like that. We learned living skills, taught us how to take a bus, or taught us how to write a resume, living skills and stuff like that. So I was involved with that for about 5 years. So that, that got me socialized. Yeah, that was a big part of,
Nice.
my life.
That was called fellowship.
Fellowship Health Resources.
I'm writing that down. Next question and comment. I found that my anger was part of the toxicity in me. It truly is dangerous. Forgiveness of others and ourselves is essential. You are right. The truth is so important. So just a comment there.
Yeah. In the beginning, like I said, I blamed everybody for my, for the troubles. I blamed this person, that person, but but I had to drop the past. It's still there. It happened, but I can't change it. It happened. I have to move. I had to move forward. Um, it happened. It's over. Now I have to find out what can I do now to move forward. And I had to accept what happened, and go on and live for today.
Right. Next question from Karen. How can the Brain Injury Association of North Carolina support you and possibly partnership with NAMI? We want to be part of the healing.
That would be great. Whatever we can. With sports and everything, people get concussions and they don't even realize it. They get, people fall down and they get hits on the head, and they might just they stand up and wow, that, and this, just that little bit can cause so much trauma to the brain and maybe not affect them at that time, but if later on down the line they may develop mental health issues. And more education is needed, to let people know that a problem could arise from that. And if we can get help when it occurs, maybe through diet or different things like that, and education, if we can get help through when it occurs, maybe you won't have to struggle so much later on in life.
That is so true. We'd love to partner with you, Karen, and maybe we can brainstorm what that would look like. And we are available on the website, and I will put my email in the chat box too. Thank you for that question. Diane, Chrysanda, Nancy, as you began your recovery, what helped you the most?
Acceptance. Once I accepted it, my illness, and once I found the right therapist, and was able to build a relationship with my therapist, a trusting relationship where I felt comfortable enough to talk with her and express my emotions and my feelings, and not feel like she was going to call the cops every time I said something, and IVC me every time I would said something. Now we have a relationship. I can I can speak my mind and speak how I feel, and trust that every time I say something, that she doesn't feel that, she doesn't feel that I'm going to do something every time I say something. We have that trust, and she knows that I'm not going to lie to her. She knows that if I am truly in crisis, I'm going to tell her. We have that communication. We have that trust. I've been with her for a long time, and we work together. We do work. When I have my therapy appointments, I carry a stack of books. We have workbooks. We do work. Whatever my issue is, I bring out whatever my issue is for the week. I bring out a worksheet and we go through it. We do, we do a worksheet of it. Yeah.
All right. Lovely comment in the chat from Barbara. Nancy, eloquent, courageous, and vulnerable story of truth. Okay. Harry King has a question. Do you think the change in diet has positively impacted your mental health? We kind of covered this, but.
Definitely. I've had to change my diet, not just for my mental health, but for my physical health. I was diabetic, high blood pressure, the whole 9 yards. I was on statins, and I've been taking off a lot of my medications. It has made a big effect. Yeah, but that's that again. You have to do your research with your provider, and with the online capabilities, the research, the information's out there. But that, like I said, it all works together. It all works together.
Yeah, definitely make sure to talk to a doctor before making any major diet changes.
You got to talk. You got to discuss it. I have a good team, and we all work together. My medical doctor is always checking in with my mental health doc. They work. Whenever there's a change to be made, they correspond with each other. Before any changes are made.
So it occurs to me that you've had really awful care and you've had really wonderful care.
Right.
And
I'm glad and like I said, you have to be a self advocate for yourself. I've had times where I've been for medical treatment and been dismissed because I've had a mental illness, and I've been put on a ventilator because for lack of treatment, because it was assumed that it was just because of a mental illness. And
they didn't take your complaint seriously.
Right.
They discounted.
Right. So you have to advocate for yourself. Don't settle. That's what I'm saying. Don't settle. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. You deserve it. You're a human being. You deserve to be respected. You have an illness and it should be treated just like heart disease, just like diabetes, just like kidney disease.
That's right. That's right. Well said. Next question is from our fearless leader, Executive Director, Dr. Gary Kreitz. What difference do you see in treatment and success in recovery between those who are wealthy and those who are not so well off?
Money talks. Simple fact, money talks. Money talks. Like I said, I'm a peer support specialist, but I don't do it. I don't get paid for it. I'm a volunteer because I had a peer support specialist. And I'm sorry to say, most of my time while being treated, we spent a half hour. She was telling me the rules of the game. I'm only allowed to speak to you every 2 weeks. I'm only allowed to do this. I'm only allowed to do that. So I just said, okay, then I'll make sure that I only go in crisis every 2 weeks. And, so, I've asked, plenty of people have asked for my resume, wanting me to come. And I said, no, I'm not going to be told who I can speak to, that I can only speak to people with certain insurance, and I can only speak to certain people, who, no, I'm not going to be told. I have a code of ethics that I follow for North Carolina that but I'm not going to be told that I can only speak to certain people who have certain amount of money and I can only spend a certain amount of time with them. Certain people require a certain amount of time, and I'm going to give them the time that they need because they deserve it. If they don't have the money for it, if I can help them, I will. And if I can't help them, I will give them the resources that they need. Just because they don't have the money for it doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. They are human beings.
That's right.
And we all deserve care. Period.
Again, well said. A comment from Facebook from Karen Clishies Keating. I so agree that everything works together. We need to not segment treatment, but work together for the best of the patient.
Definitely, definitely.
Well said. And have you ever considered writing a book? If you do write one, I would buy it and recommend it to my family and friends.
Thank you, thank you. I've thought about it. I've thought about it. I never even wrote my story until I did the in our own voice with NAMI. That's when it all began. So it may come into fruition.
I could see that. Next question. In your hospital experience, were you ever aware of someone undergoing conversion therapy, which is when someone in the LGBTQ community is treated to make them heterosexual, which is considered horrible, not just ineffective, but abusive?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I am not in that area, but I believe NAMI had a presentation called Cured, and that was the first time I really had the understanding of what homosexuality, the people in that had gone through, and I was horrified. I was really horrified, and that's it makes me mad. It just makes me mad that what makes me more mad is that our legislators are maybe not just in North Carolina, but all over the United States are trying to say that for people under 18, they're trying to take their hormone treatments away. That I'm horrified by, that our people who make a law can make a law when they know nothing about it. And they're saying it's for the good of the people, and they can make laws to that effect, and they know nothing about it. It just horrifies me. And having that conversion there, they make laws when they know nothing about it. They know not, they have no idea. They've never experienced it. They know nothing that goes on. And that it horrifies me that all the laws are passed by people who know nothing. That it horrifies me.
And it sounds like you're referring to treatment for transgender folks under the age of 18 who require hormone treatment and different kinds of treatment.
And like when they were using the conversion therapy, and that horrifies me.
But it sounds like you were never.
I've never been privy to that. No.
Okay.
But knowing that is forced upon, I have been forced to do ECT treatments without my permission. And I don't believe that you should be forced to do anything that you don't want to do. If you feel it's not in your best interest, you should not be forced to do it.
And of course, ECT stands for electroconvulsive therapy, sometimes colloquially called shock therapy. And my goodness, that's how traumatic. Okay. And nice comment in the chat box, nothing about us without us. That's an excellent statement. Thank you, Paulina. So question from Diane Crisanda. Are you involved with the CFAC, and that is the Consumer Family Advisory Council, which is associated with local management entities like Alliance Partners, VIA?
No, I'm not, but I would like to become. And if you have, Diane, if you have any information on how I can become, just send me an email.
Okay, we shall make it so. What have we got here? Question from John Klein. Have you heard of any long-term effects that may crop up years after a moderate to severe traumatic brain injury?
I guess just the basic that is dementia or even Alzheimer's. That's just the basic that that I'm worried about. Yeah. I've done quite a bit of research. They do what is called I can say it, SPECT scans. If I've seen scans of a normal brain, and I've seen scans of a traumatized brain, and you would, I mean, it's just amazing the difference, of the brains, and I would just love to have a scan of my brain. Yeah, I would just love to see a scan of my brain to see what it looks like. It's not available all over it's only available in certain certain states, but I would just love to have just to take a look at my brain, because it can show you different where different parts of your brain has atrophied, and I just wish that was available to everyone everywhere, because I think that would be a big part. That could be a big part of the treatment, because like I said, the brain is an organ, and if you knew what you were working with, you would know better how to treat it.
That would be fascinating, for sure. This is an anonymous question. What helped you to accept or have insight into your mental health needs? I have a family member who has a diagnosis of schizophrenia, but does not think they have a problem. Their behavior has caused problems with social and personal relationships.
Well, okay, with schizophrenia, okay, I can say
Actually, I'm not sure it was schizophrenia.
well, okay,
thought I saw that in the chat box.
okay. Like I said, for me, I've taken DBT classes. I've had to, but I have to say I've taken it 5 times. Okay. Okay. It wasn't until the 5th time that I've taken it that it really resonated. I had to be in a place where I could accept it. And I can say that it's still a work in progress for me. I'm just now, I'll just throw it out there. I'm just now accepting the fact that I have attachment issues, you know, and that's something that I'm working with my psychiatrist and my therapist with. That's just something from my doing research and attending webinars, and from seeing the symptoms of it, that I can see it in my, when I went to a webinar and he was stating the symptoms, I was saying, that's me, that's me, that's me. And I can see that has what's gotten in the way of my relationships. And so everybody's different. It takes time before somebody accepts it. It's taken me a while. Like I said, it's been 29 years. It's taken me a while. It's a work in progress. But if a loved one is going through it, please have patience with them. Walk with them. don't get on their case about it. They have to find their way. You can't do it for them. They have to find their way. That's all I can say. They have to find their way. I had to find the way, find it. They have to find their way. You can't do it. You can't make them do it. They have to find their way. And nobody, like I said, people, I was forced to be hospitalized. I was forced to take classes. I was forced to take DBT. And I wasn't getting anything out of it. When I'm forced, when people have substance abuse issues, are forced to go to treatment, it usually doesn't work. It usually doesn't work until they're ready to accept it and volunteer to go through the treatment and want to do it. You can't force somebody. You cannot fix somebody. They have to want to fix themselves.
Sure.
Just be supportive for them and walk with them. Have, try to have empathy for them and just be there for them. That's all I can say.
All right. Follow-up comments. The diagnosis was bipolar in that family situation, and so thankful for your testimony. We are trying to learn and be supportive. God bless. So, all
Family to
right.
family, family to family with NAMI.
Excellent suggestion. NAMI has a family class, family to family, and it teaches people what mental illness looks like, what are the different diagnoses, how can we communicate in a way that de-escalates tough conversations instead of ramping them up, and how do we do self-care? How do we draw a line so that we are taking care of ourselves and setting a boundary to keep ourselves safe emotionally and otherwise. So NAMI family to family, we'd love to see you in one of our classes. Do you feel you have a good support system?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I have a good support team. It's taken me a while to feel safe in it. It's taken me a while. We have bumps in the road, but they respect my voice. They respect that I'm a self-advocate. They listen to me. They respect what I have to say. We work as a team. I'm part of the team. They're not telling me what to do. We all come together at the table and we all work together. I'm part of the team. And then I have my friends, that we all talk to each other. We check on each other, not just when we need each other. We check on each other, just to say it, just even if it's just a text, hey, how you doing? Just I thought about you today. Just to let you know that, you don't just check on them when you need something, support, support is crucial. We can't, sometimes we like to say we can do things on our own because, you want to be tough, but we need support. We need support. We need that support.
That's a great point. And sometimes if you offer support or offer help to a loved one who's struggling and they're not ready for it and not receptive at that moment, you may have planted a seed that will come to fruition later. And if you just open that door gently every so often, just let them know, I'm here for you if you want to talk. I'm here for you if you'd like to get some help.
And I just would like to say there's a quote by Dr. Seuss. It says, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
I love Dr. Seuss. All right. What is your favorite time of day and why?
Probably the morning. When I wake up in the morning, that's when I have time to myself. It's the quiet time. I do everything. I get everything done. I get my all my work done. I do my exercise. I do my daily living, my exercise. That's when I'm most, my brain is pretty clear at that time, so I can get most of my work done in the morning. So I'm pretty most productive in the morning. So I try to get everything done. So morning, I would say the morning when I wake up, that's my best time.
All right. And final question, do you have a favorite quote or song?
I guess my favorite song, which Peg, I've spoken to you about, would be Rainbow by Fearless Soul. I would suggest that everybody downloads it and listens to it this evening.
All right. Do you have a favorite quote?
Just the quote that I just said to you. To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world.
All right. I love that. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. Nancy, I should ask, do you have any closing comments, closing thoughts?
Just don't give up. Keep the fight. Don't give up the hope. Hope is important. When we give up hope, that's when we die. We have to keep the hope. Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better.
All right. Well, that's a wonderful note to end on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Please come back next week. We've got another amazing story of resilience and recovery. Erica Blumfield found out she had bipolar disorder. She was living in New York City, ended up homeless, and just went through so many things before reclaiming her life. And she's an amazing storyteller. She's going to tell us an 8-minute story, extremely creative, engaging person. Don't want to miss it. Please fill out our survey when you leave this Zoom call. If you're with us via Zoom, a survey will magically appear. And if you'll fill that out, it's just a few questions. That helps us improve over time, and it helps us keep our grant funding. So please go ahead and do that for us if you enjoyed tonight, or if you didn't, let us know how we can improve. Thank you for being part of this conversation on mental health and recovery. Please stay safe and warm in the week ahead.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Nancy.
No problem.
All right. Have a good night, all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.